Hello! Thank you so much for stopping by at the PHOTOPLAY's YouTube channel. My name is Terry, and today I am sharing this card that I created using some stamps from the Say It With Stamps collection. Let's get started. So this is the stamp set that I will be using for this card. It's called Who Let the Dogs Out, and it's absolutely adorable. I'm an animal lover, and this just makes my heart happy. Okay, so to start off my card, I went ahead and stamped all of the cute little images onto white cardstock. I am using the Color Me cardstock here, and I'm using an alcohol-friendly ink. I am using an alcohol-friendly ink because I do plan on coloring my images with alcohol markers. Okay, so after the images has been stamped on the cardstock, it is time to color, and I will go ahead and play some music here, and I will note a time below. If you're not interested in the coloring process, you can go ahead and forward it to that time, but if you are, you can go ahead and stick around and enjoy. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. finished coloring all of the images, I went ahead and used the coordinating dies to cut out all of the images. Look at how cute they are, they're so adorable. Okay, so now to create my card front. To create the grass scene, I am going in with the Say It With Stamps grass stencil. And what I like to do is I like to mask off the open areas just to prevent any kind of ink from getting onto areas that I don't want it to. Then going in using my blending brush and some green hybrid ink, I'm just using the stencil to blend that in. And after removing the stencil off, I just used whatever ink was left over on my brush and blended that on top of the grass area. And for the sky, I did the exact same thing, but now I'm going in with my Say It With Stamps Clouds and Hills stencil and using a blue hybrid ink. What I like to do with cloud stencils is that I like to shift the stencil back and forth to create a little more variation on the cloud scene. So as you can see here, I'm moving the stencils left and right and using my blending brush with some ink on it and just blending that on. I continued to do that until I reached the top of the card panel. Okay, so I wanted to add a little more interest to the card panel. So what I like to do is I like to create ink splatters. I used the same ink that I used for the clouds and stamped that onto an acrylic block. I then spritzed some water onto the ink and using a paintbrush, I swirled that around and tapped that all over my card panel. So after the card panel has dried, I went in using 2 of the Good Vibes Only die from the Say It With Stamps collection and die cut that out of my card panel. These are actually speech bubbles, but what I'm using it for on this card panel is I'm using it as thought bubbles. So now I'm going in with the same color inks that I used earlier for the grass and the clouds, and I'm blending it onto a second piece of white cardstock. Here you can see that I'm not doing anything too crazy here. What I'm trying to do here is I wanted to cover up the background of the die cut area. So this will go beneath the card panel, and I'm just blending it out here. And you can see that I'm placing the card panel on top just to make sure that everything is aligned nicely. And don't worry about the ink appearing very splotchy here. This type of ink does dry back smooth. Then going in with my paper trimmer, I just trimmed down the card panel along with the background to 4.5 by 5.25 inches. So here I am trying to figure out the placement of the cute little pups on my card front. I was so indecisive here and I couldn't make up my mind because they were so adorable and I wanted to put them all on the card panel. But unfortunately for this card design, there was only room for a few of them. So before adhering all of the pieces together, I wanted to stamp out the sentiment just to make sure I had the placement down correctly. Going in with another stamp set from Say It With Stamps. This stamp set is called Speech Bubbles, and I love this stamp set because it has so many different sentiments on there. You can use it for all sorts of things, and I found that it was perfect for this card here. So I'm going in and stamping the word hugs and a second sentiment called This Is Me Missing You. Then going in with the little heart stamps, I stamped that around the sentiment just to give it a little more interest. And with my tweezers and liquid adhesive, I went ahead and adhered everything down together. So as I was trying to adjust the background card with the card panel, there was a little bit of hang off. So just going in with my paper trimmer, I just trimmed down that area. So like I mentioned earlier, the dies were intended to be speech bubbles, but I wanted it to be thought bubbles. So in order to do that, I just used a black pen and I added 3 little circles coming out of the thought bubble. This made it seem as though the little brown puppy is thinking about his 2 buddies above. Here I'm going in with a gray alcohol marker just to add a little shadow onto the brown puppy. In the final card, you will see that I decided to go back in with that same gray marker and color the entire bottom of the card panel. Okay, so then adding a little detail onto the card panel, I like to go in with a white gel pen and add lines and dots throughout the card panel. I also went ahead and stamped out a few of the flowers from the stamp set and colored that in using my alcohol markers. Then, using the same black ink that I used to create the thought bubble circles, I went in and drew little stems and leaves onto the flowers. Now, to finish off the card, I adhered it onto the top folding card base. And that's it! The card is now complete. I hope you found this tutorial useful, and please don't forget to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye!